Welcome back. We're at Bondini Aboriginal Community, which is on the edge of Wiluna. Just a little community. Here you see a lady making damper, which is a flat bread that they bake on the coals out in the open. Pastor James Alagapan visiting with some of the church members there at Bondini. I was invited to come with the Mamaruffa students from our college to run some meetings. Then we decided that we'd run a week of meetings at Wiluna. We set up a screen between these trees and set up our projectors, and then we set up our sound system and we put on a tape of singing, and that attracted the people along to the meetings. It was cold time, and so we lit big fires, but the cold didn't stop the people from coming. They came all rugged up and they came to listen to the messages that were given by the Mamaruffa students each night. There you can see where the smoke's wafting past the people and they're rugged up in their blankets and their doonas, but there they came. And we had a wonderful time. And on the Sabbath, we decided we would have the church service out at Bondini in the same place where we'd been having our nightly meetings. There wasn't a lot of people there because a funeral was taking place over at Meekatharra and many of the people had gone there. We started off with our singing and the people started to gather, and then we had a very interesting visitor who came along, Mr. Billy Goat. One of the people at Bondini owned this old Billy Goat, and he came along to the service and he welcomed the people that were there, but it didn't seem he was very interested in the preaching. But anyway, somebody locked him up in a house to get him out of the way of the church service. But we had a lovely time with the people out in the open that day, and then we continued our meetings in the Wiluna Seventh-day Adventist Church. It's a very nice church there, and the people attended the meetings. We had more good singing. One of the songs they sing over there is Wonka Jooka Jooka Jesus. Let me try to give you the tune of it. Wonka Jooka Jooka Jesus, Yubalyala. Wonka Jooka Jooka Jesus, Yubalyala. We are mamu, we are mamu. Wonka Jooka Jooka Jesus, Yubalyala. You know what that song is? Little talk with Jesus makes it right. Little talk with Jesus makes it right. Say no, no to the devil. Say no, no to the devil. Little talk with Jesus makes it right. So that's Mardewonga, that language. And so the people came. We preached on many things, showed many pictures, told many stories, and of course I had my Adam's mother's birthday cake. Trevor Wingo came from Meekatharra, and he is a good musician, plays the button accordion and at the same time can play the mouth organ. And Trevor made his decision to be baptised and to follow the Lord Jesus all the way. You can see the people who came regularly to the meetings. This is just some of them that received their posters of the Lord Jesus. And on the final day of the meetings, we had a big lunch in the backyard of the church. And there was such a big mob of people there, it was like a huge picnic, but it was really a good time. Well, let me tell you a little about some of the folk there. This is Kitty Richards. Kitty came in from the desert when she was a teenager. And Kitty Richards, she became quite a wild drinker, but transformed today by the grace of Christ. And Kitty loves the Lord, and she is found there in the church worshipping her God on a regular basis. This lady here, Tracy Wongawal. Tracy is actually a member of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Ministries Committee of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and she meets regularly in Melbourne with the committee. Old Dusty Stevens. Dusty is a dear old man. Dusty worked on the first emu farm in Western Australia. But Dusty, he tipped over in his motor vehicle one day as he was driving along, But he said, I knew everything would be all right because I had the Bible in the glove box. There's his wife, Sunshine. And this is Sunshine's daughter, Annette Williams, who's a very famous artist in Willoona and does beautiful work. And there she is with some of her children. KP, or Kelman Patch, one of the local policemen, who is also a member of the Adventist Church there in Willoona. Here you see this man, Richard Anderson. He comes from way out in the desert in the Northern Territory, and he was at a funeral that I attended recently, and he saw me. And he said to some other people, he said, I'd like to meet the pastor. Could you introduce me to the pastor? And when I was brought there, I shook hands with him and he said, good to see you in the real. He said, I have seen you in the Good News magazine. This is the magazine that is produced 4 times a year, has many pictures of our people from all over Australia, and they really look forward to receiving this magazine. So he'd seen my picture in here, and he said, I'd like to see you in the real. And it was really nice to meet Richard. Well, here's Pastor John Brown with Sheila Jones. And again, Sheila used to be a wild drinker, but she's given her heart to Jesus, transformed, and a new lady. Well, the meetings that we ran there at Bondini and Willoona that year, we had Kay and Friday come along to the meetings. And they too were wild drinkers and wild fighters. But they came along, they gave their hearts to Jesus, they've been baptized, and now they come to church regularly, and they are different people. And it's now been some years since they have had a drink. It's just wonderful to see the new man that Friday Jones is and that Kay Bingham is. And there's my wife sitting down with Kay with a little dictaphone, getting her story so it can be put into an Indigenous women's devotional book. One of the well-known people there in Willoona is Johnny Kayanga. Johnny Kayanga, for 13 years, was the chairperson of the executive committee at Karralandi. And there he is seen pictured with Glenn Gray, who for a number of years was the administrator at Karralandi. But Johnny Kayanga was a Karralandi student from the early days, from the early mission days of Karralandi, and then he was one of the ones who pushed for Karralandi to be reopened. Johnny received the Centenary Medal in the year 2003, and that was received for his work among Aboriginal people and for Karralandi. But you know something? Johnny Kayanga is today the Shire President of the Willoona Shire. And he has some big plans for Willoona. He's pictured here with Dita Stahl, the chaplain from the Karralandi School. Well, after the break, I want to tell you about how a dream changed the life of one of the most famous Aboriginals in Australia.